Hi, and welcome to the Valentine-Miller show with another edition of presentations and media that is relevant, fulfilling, and delivering. So, if there is anything which we can all talk about, it has to be the state of the world today, plus the decisions we all make during difficult times, and most importantly, how any one of us can come out of those difficult decisions or messy situations. I've been told it can be dealt with by sharing with others, getting the specialists involved, or even coming to terms with clearing up the situation on your own. On PRZ FM, many motivational speakers will say that God is our refuge and strength, a helper who is always found in times of trouble. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. God is our strong house of refuge, and He's our helper always in times of trouble. So, what does those secret things that soon becomes public and exposed? That is called messing up. Many of us will argue and have also carried out research to prove that the Bible's contents causes confusion, especially if Christ says no matter what we're going through, no matter how we've messed up, He's our Father. And there is always a message from that mess up. So messed up would be thoughts from man's perspective, and perhaps from one who chooses not to follow the Bible's teachings as guidance. We are masters of our own outcomes. Our choice may benefit us successfully or cause our doom and, present a poor outlook on life. For example, you might hear someone say, "Hey, I'm doomed. I can no longer carry on doing this job." And someone else might say, "I finally left my wife and children. I'm free." Nonetheless, this is what the Bible says. Your Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel, I am the Lord your God, who teaches you what is best for you, who directs you in the way you should go. 2 Corinthians 4:3 says, "And even if our gospel is veiled, it is veiled to those who are perishing. The God of this age has blinded the minds of unbelievers so that they cannot see the light of the gospel that displays the glory of Christ, who is the image of God." I've carried out field research on behalf of the Christian Rehab versus Secular Rehab campaign. The written outcome has to be based around quantitative and qualitative data findings in favour of Team Challenge London, which is a Christian rehab. At first, I found this task to be both daunting and challenging. The centre is a leading Christian rehab and treatment clinic, which is for men only. And despite that, it still made sense to research about the success of Team Challenge London, simply because I was working for them as a volunteer and outreach worker. My role was to serve both men and women out on the streets who had serious addictions. As well as that, I witnessed firsthand one of the success stories of Team Challenge because I met a friend and who is now my spouse whilst serving and ministering out on the streets. My husband now can testify that the Christian rehab is better than secular rehab because of, for example, the Holy Scriptures, which can heal an addict in a way that helped him overcome his addiction and also emerge him to be a better human being. It is the responsibility of the NHS Primary Care Trust to provide a public health outcome within the local area. Drug misuse, for example, continues to have a negative effect on the health and well-being and the quality of life of too many people. It also drains public resources. For example, crimes related to drugs cost the UK around 13 million or 13 billion, I should say, every year. And according to a gov.uk policy document, prison is not always the best place for offenders who misuse drugs. Over the coming winter season, many churches will open up their doors and provide hot meals for the homeless in aid of the local homeless charity. As well as that, the charity helpline UK Rehabs have trained addiction counsellors who man a 24/7 confidential helpline throughout the year. They too understand that the Christian Rehab Centre is not for everyone. On the other hand, there is a typical secular clinic, for example, the Priory, who will help recovering addicts to go through detox, followed by 4 to 12 weeks of intense psychotherapeutic treatments that help him or her deal with psychological and emotional issues associated with addiction. So as part of the debate, the UK Rehab quoted by saying they would lean towards the Christian Rehab because the Christian Centre offer one clear advantage over secular alternatives, and that is a sense of purpose. It also makes sense to recommend a Christian rehab, especially if an addict was unsuccessful in the attempts of detoxification in the past. So my research in the qualitative sense consisted of conducting interviews and questionnaires for a small sample of residents at Teen Challenge. They confirmed that a Christian rehab centre would be their first choice, though they found the programme could be very challenging. Members of staff were always there to give constant support. The solid foundation developed through the Christian teaching allows those on the programme to develop a gifting and skill which they realise was not there. Today, there appears to be thousands of young people trapped in addiction, saying, I've messed up. And by God's grace, a Christian rehab centre like Teen Challenge will continue to reach out to the vulnerable because they know that within our society, this is God's heart for our nation.